Among the more interesting things about AQWorlds is that the border of the game is not limited to the box that you see. It extends both horizontally and vertically beyond these borders. There are objects which we can see right here that extends far beyond the border that is set by the map or the room you're in. Now both objects and characters can go outside this border, which you can see during some cutscenes. But the only place that you can actually go outside of the map with your character and still be in control is in Blood Red Brawl. And this is what it looks like. Now the character is above the map, about up here. And this is also known as a roofing in the community. Since the character is on the roof, you can see its sword moving on the top. Now if I move my mouse up here, you can actually see that I can select a character, which means that you have a character that is outside of the regular map. So how do you get roofed? Well, first of all you have to have an opponent going through a door. Now the second thing you want to do is go through the same door and have a ranged attack. As you approach the door, start spamming and then stop as you enter the door. Now what you will find is that you automatically shoot up into the roof and you're stuck up here. You can see my sword moving at the top. Now this is how most roofs happen. People get stuck up here while PvPing and they can't get down. Or they will attack someone and luckily be able to climb down. Now this is how most roofs look to a player, and since it's all black up here you can't really see what is going on. Now I'm going to make the screen a lot smaller, but I'm essentially going to show you that what's up here is just a black bar. I really hope that you are able to see this, so please use a TV or a large monitor. Don't watch this on your mobile phone, because you probably won't be able to see what's going on. Now I'm going to do the same thing as I did before, and I want you to look over here. You see my character stuck on a wall, popping all the way up, and then you'll see it appear right here. Now what you're looking at is what I call a perfect roof. Since the only thing I've done is I've spammed as I'm approaching the door, and then I stopped. And you can see my character moving up here, but if I click on the screen, as you just saw, it starts moving down. And actually now my character is up here, or well over here, as you can see indicated by the mouse, stuck trying to get down. Now you can force your way down again by pressing 1 at the right angle and you will force down. Now you might wonder why suddenly my character would shoot out of bounds and try to hit a target that is outside of the map. Now that is because of the game's implementation of trying to save a character's loadout. Once you load into a map, you will be greeted by this blue flame. And essentially what the game is doing is the look of your character, your customizations aren't stored on the server, but all the maps and the positions of the monsters are. So it doesn't have to load this, it already knows this information, but how your character looks, it has to load each time. So what it does when you're going through rooms, after the initial load of the character, is that it stores it outside of this map, outside of the map. Now, storing it right above the box in PvP is a stupid idea, because if you use ranged attacks, you can actually hit it. So what it does is that it takes the length of the map or the room times 2 and then makes it spawn all the way up here. Now it stores the characters up here to reduce the amount of stress on the server that it has to load. So once you load it into a map, it doesn't have to take extra resources going through the rooms. So essentially what you can say is that the area 2 times above the map is used as a storage space. Now obviously there are no characters up here right now because the characters are spawned down on the map. And if you look closely as I'm hopping, you can't really see the characters. Now my guess is that this transaction happens faster than the game's frames, so you can't really see the characters. But I do have direct proofs that this space up here contains the location of each of the characters. So the next thing we're going to look at is where you end up in this box up top, depending on where you're trying to roof. So I'm going to roof again, and you can see my character moving up, and here it comes. Now you should be familiar with basic PvP, and if you have a character that is just located a bit above a character and you press 1, so a character will charge either to the left or the right, trying to be within auto attack range or base attack range of a character. Now if you take a look on the right here, you can use a ruler if you want to, but just trust me on this. But my character lined up perfectly to be within attack range of this one. Now it didn't move in the middle of the map, it moved right to the left or the right. Actually, I'm going to show you that if I just try to normal attack on this one, it should charge either to the left or the right of the character. And as you can see, I landed here. Now on the other hand, I can land on this side as well. So what we have done is that we have established that the horizontal alignment of a roof really depends on the target that you're trying to hit. Now the box I'm talking about is not that large, and it doesn't have to be. It just has to be large enough to be a small representation that separates the characters when you're hopping between the rooms. So if you hop through a room that's higher on the map and try to roof, or one that is lower, for example, we'll take a look at this right now. So we're going to look at a roof where I'm trying to roof a person that is at the bottom of the map. So as you can see, my character is trying to enter that perfect roof position, and we can see that my character is blocked by this black bar. You can only see half of my character. Now what this shows me is that both vertically and horizontally, the position you end up roofing to or perfect roofing to is dependent on where the character you're trying to hit's location. So we can say that this box, this storage space, is a representation where it stores the locations of characters when you're hopping. To be more precise, the box stores the locations that characters who are not in your room last had, which is dependent and will change if you hop into a room with other players. I'm going to talk more about that later, but first I'm going to show you that you can also move on the sides and under the map. So I'm going to try to get on the side of the map for you guys. So I was able to get on the side of the map, and we're going to take a look at that right now. So right here you can see my character, and I can select myself. Now if I try to move this character further down and attack, my character still stays up here. This is because in PvP there are two walls or blocks, one that is here and one that is down here. This is because a long time ago in Doom Arena you could actually go outside of where you were supposed to be able to walk or go on the map. So what they did was they made two big walls, invisible walls that extends into the map and also outside the map, which I don't know why they did. But you have one here and one down here, which was supposed to patch that you can go into a position on the map or in a room into a marina where no one could touch you. And those boxes are also present in Blood Red Brawl. But what you can do to get around these blocks or walls, you can try and use the one. And since you both could force or charge yourself on the left and the right, you really need to just press it once, move your character as far out as you can, and try and force around. Just press one once or twice and try to move around it. Now I'm not able to get it, it just takes time, but once you get down here you can also force yourself under the map, and if you stack enough characters outside on both sides, this is possible. You can use the same principle that you can charge yourself on the left and the right and sort of move like a snake outwards. I've been able to go more than 2 times the length, the horizontal length of a map outside into the void. This tells me that the game itself isn't confined into this box or the map that it shows, that it is actually sort of infinite, since your position doesn't depend on the window. It gives you a pixel position, so if you adjust the window the right amount, you can still see your character. So as I'm roofing, you can see my character right here. This is not a perfect roof, but you can see that my character on my enemy screen is still on the map, while myself is actually, now you can see it's moving, and my enemy moved up because I'm actually in the roof right here. And same thing goes if I try to move down, my character moves down and the enemy can see me move down after I've actually moved down. This makes it possible to have one of your characters split and stuck in the roof while the other one is still down, while one is down at the map. This is called character separation, and I'm covering this topic in my character separation theory video, which is an interesting dynamic and aspect of the game which you really can do some interesting things with. Now that we have an understanding of how hopping between rooms and roofing is actually possible, and we know that there's a storage page far above the map which stores the locations of the characters present within the room and stores them in this box while you're hopping. I'm going to talk about 4 different types of location. So the first 2 locations are basic locations that you all are familiar with. I'm just going to give them shorter names. So when you hop into rooms, you have entry points to another room. So this arrow shows that if I go into this entry point, I end up in the room above. If I go down, I enter the room below. Same goes for left and right. And this end location for a hop, I'm going to call an E-hop for entry hop. And the spawn location after you have done a hop, I'm going to call S-hop for spawn hop. And these 2 locations are physical locations down on the game's map. Now the 2 other locations we have seen in roof theory are a location that is given before you go into a hop, and another location that is given after a hop. These 2 locations, the before hop location is given right after you have entered a hop between rooms, and the after hop location is given entered a new room, but before you've actually entered the spawn location. In short, you have the entry location, then you get placed in the same room's storage box. Then you enter the new room storage box, and then you enter the spawn location for that room. And the two locations, the location you have in the storage box before you have hopped, I'm going to call B hop, and the location you have after you've done a hop, I'm going to call A hop. Now we can use these 4 locations to explain glitches like a triple hit. A triple hit is where you are able to attack your enemy 3 times, 2 auto attacks and 1 regular attack. And a triple hit should look something like this. As you can see, I was able to hit him for 1 auto attack, 1 regular attack, and another auto attack. To explain how this is possible, instead of having my windows like this and pointing up here, I'm going to keep my windows like this and just refer to this box up here as the storage space for the locations. And I'll show you that since the A hop and B hop locations matter, you can actually take advantage and use attacks while in these states. Now, looking at the locations before and after a hop, I'm going to look at the E hop position, determine the B hop position, then show that the A hop position aligns up so that we can attack. To keep track of our locations, I'm going to use this picture and mark with a red pen our A hop location and her B hop locations. So on this side I'm going to mark our B hop locations, and on this side I'm going to mark our A hop locations. So when we are hopping between rooms and you have 2 opponents, our E hop location will be right here. So our E hop location will be the same. Now, determining our B hop location shouldn't be too hard. It would just be a bit above. So I'm going to mark our B hop location right here for ourselves, and a blue one for the enemy location. Now, this is quite a simple hop. You can get more complex hop if you hop from top mid to bottom mid, but I'm just using this to show. So, performing a hop with our enemy character. Now, if we were to just keep our location, our S hop location, our A hop location would be right above, up here. But we can actually change our A hop location, not for our enemy's view, but for our view. So for us right now, when we perform a hop, a B hop location should be on top of each other, which allows our enemy to be within base attack range. That is the range of our auto attack, which allows us to target and force a charge or a trace towards that location. Remember the locations, and once we hop, we will now determine that our A hop location for ourselves after a hop will be right above the S hop location. So since our S hop is here, our A hop will be right above. So I'm going to mark this right here. But now we can see that from our view, the location that it had stored, the A hop location for our enemy, is actually up here. So what it has done is that once you've entered the room, it will fetch the A hop location of our enemy, which isn't at the which isn't the same as the S hop location. It's actually another A hop location. So this location, the enemy's A hop location would be marked above right here. Now our base attack range is actually far enough to reach all the way out here. And now that I think about it, this location is actually wrong. It's supposed to be above right here. So like here. Now our base attack range is about this long. So after our A hop location, we are able to hit about this range, which is halfway into the map for this particular hop. That means that we can reach any enemy that is within this horizontal range. Now we looked at the box that you have, and the vertical box isn't that long, and you're actually able to hit all enemies vertically that are in the storage box. So the only way for an enemy to be outside of our attack range is if they are on the other side of the map, like right here. After we have hopped, so we fetch an A hop location of our enemy that is outside of our attack range. Now what the A hop and B hop locations tell you is that the enemy's B hop location is within your attack range, and if you are able to hit an attack within the time that you spend in the storage box, you're actually able to trigger an attack. But since the enemy isn't in the room, once you enter the new room, you have already triggered the attack. And depending on if the enemy is within attack range or not, the attack will hit. If the enemy is within attack range, you will also trigger a normal auto attack, since your regular attack is on cooldown, but your auto attack doesn't have a cooldown. So it's sort of like you're asking. Now we're going to take a look at the same hop, but the enemy will end up being outside of our attack range after the hop. So the enemy's A hop location will be outside of our base attack range. So our enemy will hop and we will change and move all the way outside, so when we spawn down, and our A hop location won't be able to reach its A hop location. And we'll see what happens. As you just saw, the attack triggered, but it just rolled, and our enemy took no damage. This confirms that in this state you're able to in the B hop stage you're able to trigger an attack, but obviously since the game checks and the character is not on the current map you're on, once it enters the A hop stage, it still remembers that, oh, it triggered an attack, and checks if an enemy is within range, and if not, the attack just rolls. If it is, and the enemy is within attack range, but also your S hop location and the enemy's actual location line up, you will be able to trigger one auto attack and the attack you used, and a new auto attack. If we try to do a triple hit where the enemy's actual location isn't within base attack range of your S hop location, you will only trigger the attack. As you saw, we were just able to do an auto attack and a regular attack. Now looking at the more complex hop where we have multiple E hop locations, this theory still holds true, and we can actually use it to define another range of where we are able to hit targets. The hop I'm going to do is from top mid to bottom mid, and I'm going to mark the A hop and B hop locations for you as well, so it's easier to understand. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one character hop down on the far right, or actually where an enemy hops down doesn't really matter for determining the limit of where we're able to hit people. So the enemy will just hop down and we will keep them, let's say, at the top. Now this time I'm actually going to use the correct colors, where blue is me and red is the enemy. And looking at the locations I just showed, our before hop or B hop location for the enemy will be, the red one will be around here. It really doesn't matter where, this is just an example to show. And we're also going to jump around the middle hop, so our B application will be here. Now we placed our enemy up here, which determines the A hop location of about here. Now performing this hop will give us a base range and that reaches about this far, and we can see that the enemy's A hop location is within range. This means that we should be able to hit him within this range, which we are. As we saw, it just took damage. Now if we determine a hop position just like the last example that is outside of this range, let's say out here, or actually we can make it all the way to the far right, which is definitely outside of our base attack range. It should make us not be able to hit the enemy. So we're gonna make both of them go top, make the enemy go down. So we place our A hop location about here, and we'll see that the attack rolls, which means we weren't able to attack them, but we were still able to trigger the attack. And as you saw, I instantly started charging and I have selected the target, which means that we were able to trigger an auto attack. So for those of you who are familiar with God is Good's work on both trace theory and cross map theory, this explanation really makes sense and allows you to understand the limits of those theories. For those of you who don't know his work, I essentially showed you that we can use a definition of a roof and how the dynamics of it works to allow us to hit people that are across the map, also known as cross maps or for short CMs. And since we established limits or defined positions you can take to be outside of an A hop base range, you know where to position yourself depending on the hop you're doing to counter or not be cross mappable, also known as NCM for non-cross map. We also showed how triple hits work and how they're possible, and I am sure that you can use this theory to find more glitches and explain other glitches that I haven't shown in this video. And I really hope that watching this video made you understand more of the dynamics and physics of PvP.